What do reusable rockets and a trillion-dollar pay package have in common? Welcome to the world of Elon Musk. I'm excited about this one. Elon Musk is such a layered figure with tech, space, and, some real twists along the way.
Totally. I'm ready to dive in and keep it chill. This is Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, here's where we begin. Today we're talking about Elon Musk, a South African-born entrepreneur at the intersection of technology, business, and controversy. Big rockets, electric cars, brain tech, and a social platform he later renamed X.
Want to hear something wild? When I was a teen, I got obsessed with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That goofy philosophical space adventure cracked my brain open to the idea that space can be both funny and profound. Later, I learned Musk loved that book too, along with Asimov's Foundation series. Foundation is that classic sci-fi about a plan to preserve civilization through science. Not gonna lie, reading that stuff is what made me start sketching little rocket designs in shop class and trying to, build a model launch system out of scrap wood. Didn't work, but it made space feel like something regular people could care about, not just astronauts and professors. That's pretty cool, right?
I love that. And it tracks with Musk's whole vibe of big systems thinking. Okay, basic intro time. Elon Reeve Musk was born June 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. He later added Canadian citizenship through his mother and became a U.S. citizen in 2002, giving him a tri-national profile. He's connected to a bunch of ventures: SpaceX for rockets and spacecraft, Tesla for electric vehicles, Neuralink for brain-computer interfaces, which means a device that lets the brain communicate with computers, The Boring Company for tunnels. He acquired Twitter and rebranded it to X, and he founded XAI, an artificial intelligence company. At a high level, he's known for pushing reusable rockets at SpaceX and scaling EVs at Tesla.
Yeah, and just to level set, reusable rockets are launch vehicles you can fly, land, and fly again, which drops the cost. SpaceX made that mainstream with Falcon 9 landing its first stages and then reflighting them. Later, Starship aims for rapid reusability with huge payload capacity. On the car side, Tesla leaned into software updates over the air and built massive battery factories, those gigafactories. That combo helped shove the whole auto industry toward electrification. Love a good rabbit hole.
Let's unpack the early chapters. Musk grew up in Pretoria. His parents are Errol Musk, an electromechanical engineer with a complicated entrepreneurial history, and May Musk, a Canadian-born model and dietitian. He has siblings Kimball and Tosca. Kimball later became a restaurateur and entrepreneur, and Tosca went into filmmaking, including co-founding a streaming service called Passion Flicks for romance stories. He was baptized in the Anglican Church of Southern Africa. There was family wealth during his youth, and also turbulence. He's talked about severe bullying at school, including an assault that put him in the hospital.
He was also deep into reading. We mentioned Asimov and Hitchhikers. He cited those as shaping his sense of responsibility to safeguard civilization, which becomes this through line for SpaceX and Tesla. And as a kid, he taught himself computer programming from a VIC-20 manual. By age 12, he made a basic video game called Blastar and sold it for about $500. That's the kind of early, scrappy signal you see in a lot of founders. Curiosity turns into a little revenue, and suddenly tech feels like a real path.
Then comes the cross-continent hop. He disliked apartheid and wanted to avoid mandatory military service for white men in South Africa. While he waited on Canadian documentation based on his mother's citizenship, he attended the University of Pretoria for a few months. In 1989, he got to Canada, did odd jobs in Saskatchewan and elsewhere, then started at Queen's University in Ontario before transferring to the University of Pennsylvania. He earned a physics BA and an economics BS from Wharton, which is the business school at Penn.
Why physics and economics, though? I mean, those feel like very different brain modes.
Real talk. Physics teaches you how to model reality with first principles, which means starting from basic truths and building up. Economics helps you think in incentives and markets. Put together, that's basically the recipe he used to tackle rockets and EVs. It's like, can we make this physically and financially work at scale?
Next up, the Internet era. In 1995, he and his brother Kimball, plus investor Greg Corey, founded Zip2 in Palo Alto. That was software for newspapers to publish online city guides. He's told the story of sleeping in the office and showering at the YMCA, and there's that scrappy move where he encased a regular computer in plastic to make it look like a mini supercomputer. In 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for about $307 million. Musk's share was roughly $22 million. That sets him up for round two.
Round two is XCOM, an online financial services startup. It soon tangled with a rival called Confinity, co-founded by Max Levchin and Peter Thiel. Levchin is a tech founder and engineer. Thiel is an investor and entrepreneur. X.com and Confinity merged, and the combined company focused on PayPal, the peer-to-peer payments product you probably know. There were leadership changes. At one point, Bill Harris, formerly of Intuit, was CEO. Later, Thiel led the company as it narrowed around PayPal. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for about $1.5 billion in stock. Musk was the largest shareholder and cleared around $176 million.
That cash was the fuel for SpaceX. In 2001, he actually tried to buy Russian ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, to send a greenhouse payload to Mars and inspire interest in space. Those talks fell apart. The failure pushed him toward a different idea: build rockets from first principles with vertical integration, meaning keep more of the design and manufacturing in-house to cut costs. In 2002, he founded SpaceX and became CEO and chief engineer.
And it wasn't smooth sailing. Early Falcon 1 launches failed several times between 2006 and 2008. NASA had rolled out a program called COTS, Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, which funded private companies to develop cargo delivery to the International Space Station. That program became a lifeline. After the fourth Falcon 1 attempt finally reached orbit in 2008, SpaceX won a $1.6 billion NASA cargo contract for Falcon 9 and its Dragon spacecraft. That turned a cliff edge into a runway.
Meanwhile, at Tesla, he was an early investor in 2004 and took over as CEO in 2008. Tesla made EVs feel cool and practical with long range, then stacked up battery manufacturing and software updates so the car keeps improving. There's controversy around driver assistance claims and safety, but few people argue Tesla didn't shove the market toward electrification. Yeah, that checks out.
Fast forward on rockets. SpaceX hit a milestone in 2012 when Dragon docked with the ISS and returned cargo to Earth. Falcon 9 first-stage landings and reflights became routine. The Starship program now targets rapid reusability and huge payloads, which in plain terms is about making space logistics cheap and frequent enough for sustained lunar missions and one-day Martian settlements.
On the AI and neuro side, Musk co-founded OpenAI in 2015, later left over disagreements, then founded xAI to chase frontier models with a safety and autonomy tilt. In 2026, xAI became a subsidiary of SpaceX, which basically marries AI research to robotics and space operations. Neuralink, founded in 2016, focuses on brain-computer interfaces. The long-term idea is human-AI symbiosis, meaning your brain and digital systems working together more directly.
Then there's the social platform shift. In 2022, he acquired Twitter. In 2023, he rebranded it to X. Policy changes reduced some moderation. He framed it as free speech heavy. Researchers and watchdog groups reported increases in hate speech and misinformation after those changes, and advertisers pulled back. Methodologies were debated, but brand safety concerns definitely became a business factor for X.
Shifting to public policy, in early 2025, he served as senior advisor to the president, effectively heading a so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. There was intense scrutiny about conflicts of interest since he leads multiple major firms. A feud led to his departure a few months later. Around that time, he was the wealthiest person in the world. By 2026, Forbes estimated him at roughly $1.1 trillion, the first U.S. dollar trillionaire. And in November 2025, Tesla shareholders approved a $1 trillion 10-year performance-based pay package for him.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's take on a lasting, unanswered question that keeps resurfacing. The family wealth story. For years, people repeated that his father owned an emerald mine. In 2023, Elon Musk clarified that he received a portion of emeralds from 3 small mines, not ownership. The family did experience periods of wealth. That nuance matters because it shapes how people understand Elon's origin story as either self-made or advantaged.
I think transparency on that is important. It doesn't erase hard work or risk-taking, but if someone had a cushion, even intermittently, that context helps us compare journeys fairly. When you've got early access to computers, books, and networks, that's leverage. It can shave years off the learning curve. I'm not judging, just saying the baseline matters when we talk about what it takes to build companies like these.
I hear you. For me, the broader implication is about privilege intersecting with grit. 2 things can be true at once. He had periods of family wealth and serious personal hardships, like severe bullying and complicated family dynamics. Both can shape a person. Privilege can open doors. It doesn't make rockets land themselves. The reason I care is because younger founders listening to big success stories might think it's all bootstraps, when often it's bootstraps plus access.
Why does that split people so much, though?
Because origin stories are identity. If someone you admire had help, that can feel like it shrinks the magic, but for others, it's relieving to know luck and structure play roles. With Musk, the stakes are higher since he's such a symbol of founder-driven change. Also, some related pieces are disputed, like his mid-1990s U.S. work authorization path. There are conflicting accounts. When facts feel unsettled, people project their own narratives.
That's a solid point. Personally, I think the engineering milestones stand regardless, reusable rockets, mainstream EVs, but knowing the starting line helps keep our comparisons honest.
Switching gears just a little, pop culture vibes. He's often likened to a real-life Iron Man, which is the Marvel billionaire inventor archetype. That image took off when SpaceX and Tesla became headline machines. And the rebranding of Twitter to X wasn't just a product decision. It was an internet culture event. Memes, debates, nostalgia for the old bird logo, brand safety conversations. It all blended tech and pop culture in a big way.
All right, let's roll on into a what if. What if he actually enrolled at Stanford in 1995 and stayed in materials science? Materials science, by the way, is the study of how stuff is structured and how that structure gives it properties, which is super relevant to batteries and rockets. Alternate timeline. He goes deep into advanced battery chemistry, publishes papers, maybe spins out a startup later in the 2000s when lithium-ion really scales. Without the PayPal exit cash, SpaceX might not have launched in 2002. Maybe a different founder fills that gap, but reusable rocketry could have been delayed years.
Okay, here's another angle to look at. If he's in academia or a national lab setting, he might have pushed solid-state batteries sooner. That could have nudged EV adoption differently, perhaps more distributed across car makers. Meanwhile, without his vertical integration push at SpaceX, NASA's COTS model might still pick winners, but the cadence of reusability and cost drops might be slower. And culturally, without that early rocket spectacle, maybe the Iron Man comparison lands on someone else, like another founder in aerospace.
What about social media in that timeline? If he goes research-heavy, maybe he never buys Twitter. X doesn't exist as a rebrand, and the platform evolves on a different moderation course. That means fewer fireworks around free speech debates in that specific venue, and advertisers face a different risk profile. Wild how that works out.
And if he doesn't lead a rocket company, XAI being folded into a space enterprise in 2026 probably doesn't happen. The tight loop between AI, robotics, and spacecraft could be looser, or in the hands of another coalition. We might still get there, just on a different clock. That's close to the heart of it for me. Sometimes the person matters less than the ecosystem timing, but sometimes one person really does speed things up.
All right, time to put a bow on that. Stay curious, keep exploring new ideas, and don't panic. Bring a towel and a good question.
And that's where we'll leave it for now. See you next time.